Well, good afternoon. I want to thank you all for coming out today. I am joined today by Chief Ron Linvey. He is our Chief of Homeland Security. I'm also joined by Chief Gary Goebel of the Orange Park Police Department. So this afternoon we're here to talk about the results of Operation Blue Hawk. This was a proactive undercover operation targeting adults who were seeking out children for sexual activity here in Jacksonville. The initial phase of the operation began on Tuesday, July 19th, and concluded early on Sunday morning, July 24th. The follow-up investigation then began and has been going on ever since that time. Operation Blue Hawk was initiated by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and was undertaken with the assistance of partnering agencies from within the North Florida Regional Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. In addition to our assigned JSO personnel, we were assisted by the State Attorney's Office and other officers from the ICAC Task Force from several agencies around Northeast Florida. And beyond Northeast Florida as well. So we were assisted now, and I want to thank for their assistance the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, the Tallahassee Police Department, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, who was always a key partner for us in many of these forensic and ICAC investigations, the Gainesville Police Department, St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, and again the Orange Park Police Department, represented by here today by Chief Goebel. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Linvey for a few minutes to talk about some of the details of the investigation, and then I'll follow up after Chief Linvey is done. Ron?
Thank you. All right, the specific details of the investigative techniques that were used during Operation Blue Hawk can't be detailed to protect the integrity of future operations. However, the objective of the operation was to identify suspects who use electronic devices to solicit minors for sexual activity. Once communication was established with the offenders and law enforcement officers acting as proxy minors were solicited for sexual activity, meeting locations were then established. When the suspects arrived at a prearranged location for what they thought was going to be a sexual encounter with a minor, they were taken into custody by law enforcement officers. The suspects were all then interviewed by JSO Special Assault Unit detectives. Those are the detectives that usually do our sex crimes investigations. And evidence was collected before they were booked into the pretrial detention facility. And although most of the suspects live in or were visiting the Jacksonville area, we did have one travel from Ocala, Florida. The 11 suspects arrested in the initial phase of the operation all traveled to meet whom they believed was a child between the ages of 12 and 14 for a sexual encounter. And the suspects themselves ranged from 25 to 45 years old. Phase one of the operation resulted in the 11 suspects that you see pictured here being arrested, and I know the PIOs will pass out some further information related to their arrests. As far as the charges, they're all charged with a combination of the following felony charges: the use of a computer to solicit, seduce, or entice a child to commit sex acts, which is a third-degree felony; traveling to meet the child after seducing, soliciting, or alluring that child to commit a sex act, which is a second-degree felony; the transmission of harmful materials to a minor, which is a third-degree felony; and an additional third-degree felony of unlawful use of a two-way communication device. And the specific charges for each of these individual suspects will be detailed on their arrest and booking reports. Of note, one suspect, Matthew Baumgardner, arrived with child pornography in his possession as well on a digital device, so he was additionally charged with that offense. Another suspect, Clifton Marquis II, left a 6-year-old child unsupervised when he traveled to meet what he thought was a minor for sex and was additionally charged with child neglect. Officers responded to the home where that child was to ensure the child's safety, placed the child with a family member, and notified the Florida Department of Children and Families. The third-degree felony charges carry a maximum of 5 years in prison apiece. The second-degree felony charges carry a maximum of up to 15 years apiece. So these guidelines call for, it ranges for each of the suspects depending on their charges, but in the most severe case, 40 years for those that were arrested with the most serious charges if you added those up to serve consecutively. And we look forward to the prosecution of these suspects by our law enforcement partners at the State Attorney's Office. So that was the original 11 arrests during the first portion of the investigation. Since that time, we've gone into a second phase, which are some follow-up investigations, and 5 additional suspects from outside the Jacksonville area were identified and active arrest warrants were issued for them. We've had a flurry of activity today, which is great. We have 4 of those 5 currently in custody from out of Jacksonville jurisdictions such as Nassau County, Deltona, Florida, Port Orange, Florida, and St. Augustine. These suspects are all going to be charged with use of a computer to seduce, solicit, or entice a child to commit sex acts, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. We're not done yet. Additional offenders have also been identified that we're not able to talk about or detail today because their investigations are still ongoing, and we do expect further arrests.
Good deal. Thank you, Ron. So with that, just in closing, before we answer a few questions, I think that this clearly highlights the need for conversation between parents and children about internet safety. We have in your packets a list of suggested tips, talking points for parents to talk to children about, tips for children who are using the internet. But really it's about being engaged with the child, knowing who, if anyone, is talking to your child on the internet, and who that person is, and some basic rules beyond that. So we can't highlight enough the fact that these operations, we keep them secretive, if you will, while they're ongoing. But this is a very big part of what we do every day, working to keep our children safe in this community. So with that, we'll be glad to answer a few questions.
Sheriff, I know you probably can't go into specifics, but was it a specific website or chat room or app or something that all of these minors had in common that they were using?
Well, not exactly. So we monitor a variety of those constantly, and some of that we get information from parents in the community, obviously, and we get tips from different people. And part of what the investigators do beyond these operations is to look for that type of activity. So that's how we generated the activity, basically.
The four that are investigating now from outside the area, is it, you said Nassau, are they across the state, or how far away are these people?
Yeah, I've got that here.
Yeah, he's got 4 cities, I think, that they were.
One of them had a work address in Nassau, and I don't know, he also had a home address in Brunswick, Georgia. I'm not sure if I know Kingsland. Do we know which jurisdiction picked him up for us, that one? Oh, okay, so he was in Jacksonville? We were able to find him in Jacksonville, so that actually did turn out to be a Jacksonville arrest. We have one that's still outstanding in Clay County. We have one that was arrested in Deltona, Florida, one in Port Orange, Florida, and one who resided in St. Augustine, Florida. And these arrests all just happened this morning in the hours leading up, so that's why I don't have complete details on the specifics of their arrests. It is possible that one of them may have been picked up just outside their city limits by their county sheriff's office. Still trying to put all that together, but those 4 arrests all just happened today.
Good deal.
Sheriff, did any of these suspects know each other, work together as far as contacting minors?
I'm going to let Ron answer that. I don't know answer that question.
Now, we don't have any indication that any of these individuals were working in concert with each other in any way.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you very much.